All right, boys and girls, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to solve an addition problem using a number line. But the focus of this video is showing your work in a complete way. So you're going to see that I'm going to do three things. And I'm going to begin by just making an open number line. And we're going to be solving 135 plus 247. I'm going to begin with 247. It doesn't matter which number you start with, but that's the number I'm going to start with. And the first thing I want to bring to your attention is that we always label our numbers as we go, our landing points along the way. So my first number is my starting number, which is 247. And you might notice that I'm drawing at kind of an angle here. And the reason for that is that if I write my numbers straight out on a number line, they get a little bit crowded and it can be hard to read them. So I like to write my numbers at an angle so it makes it clearer. I'm going to begin by adding 100. I'm going to do my hops in a different color. So I'm going to go ahead and just add 100. And think about where that leads me to. So if I have two hundreds already and I add 100, now I know that's going to give me 347. Now it's time to add my tens. So I need to add 3 tens. So I'm going to do a hop of 30. If I add 3 tens to the tens place, that gives me 7 tens. So I'm going to mark this down as 377. Okay, now I need to add 5 ones. Now you could do this. You could just do a hop of 5. And you might say, well, I know that. If I do a hop of 5, that gets me to 382. But sometimes kids have a tricky time getting from one 10 to the other 10. So we would call this regrouping if we were doing it with cubes. It's still regrouping, but it's on a number line. So let me show you another way you can do that if you get stuck there. You can always just go to counting by ones. So if you get to 377 and you know you need to add 5, you can always say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can do 5 hops and just count as you go. 377, 378, 379, 380, 381, 382. So you're going to notice I did a few things here. I labeled my hops. So this is one way to make your work really clear, okay, is labeling your hops. The other thing I want you to make sure you do when you're doing a number line is I want you to label your landing points. So when we added 100, we landed at 347. So I'm going to mark that down on my number line. There's one last thing I want you to do, and that is I want you to write your answer, and I want you to put a box around it. I'm going to actually put a box around it on my number line, but I'm also going to put a box around it down here so I make my equation complete. Okay? Let me show you another example of solving on a number line, just so you can see maybe a problem that's a little bit more complex. So this time I'm going to do 252 plus 174. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my open number line. And I'm going to start out this time down here on the end. And I'm going to start with 252. That's my first number. Now we're going to add each part of the next number. So I'm going to start with 100. That's an easy hop to do. So we've got plus 100. And I really want you to notice this. I didn't just hop and put my landing point. I wrote down what the value of the hop was, or how much I was adding at this point. You don't want to forget this part. So that leaves me at 352. I'm marking down this landing point. Okay, now it's time for me to add my tens. And this is where it can get tricky for some kids. So I'm going to add 7 tens, but I can already tell that's going to get me into the 400s. And that feels a little bit uncomfortable to me. So I think what I'm going to do is break this 7 tens up and just get as close as I can to 400. So I'm going to break this up, and the first hop I'm going to make is 40. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a hop of 40. I'm going to write plus 40 and see where that lands me. That lands me at 392. The next thing I want to do is I just want to get to 400. If I can just get to that nice clean number of 400, the rest of the adding should be easy. So how far do we have to go to get to 400? Well, I can tell here I have 2 in the ones place, and I know I need 10 in the ones place to regroup over here and turn this into 400. So I'm going to make a hop of 8, because 8 plus 2 is 10. That'll give me an additional 10 here, which is going to give me 400. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a quick hop of 8, and that's going to give me 400. Now, I really want to make sure I'm getting that 70. So right now I have 40. Let's make this an even 10. I already have 8. Let's add a quick hop of 2 to get me a 10. Do you see what I did here? So this was a hop of 10. And that gives me 402. Now, let's look at what we've done so far. We've added 100. Have we added 70 yet? Let's count. 40, 50. We haven't gotten to 70 yet. So far I have 50. That means I need 20 more. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 20 hop. And that gets me to 422. Okay. Finally, I need to add let's double check we did 7 tens first. 40, 50, 60, 70. Good job, we did. And do you see what we did here? We ended up breaking 70 into 40, into 10, and into 20. And breaking that up that way helped me get across that 400. Now I have 4 ones left over to add. So I'm just going to do a hop of 4. And I know that gives me 426. I'm going to finish off by writing my answer right up at the top, or wherever my equation is, so I have a complete equation to end with. I'm also going to box my answer on my number line. And I'm all done. I've done all 3 parts. I've labeled hops, not just with the hop, but also with the value of the hop, and that's really important. I've labeled my landing points, and I've made it really clear what my final answer is. All right, friends, do a nice job labeling your work today.